Okay, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Treasurer report.
We got the minutes from the last meeting, right?
Oh,
That's all right.
approval of the minutes from April 8th meeting.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of April 8th.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Treasurer report.
Okay, we had 188.71 at the beginning of April. We received 79,150. You see that we had 8,494 in interest and stuff in there. So that was a CD coming due, a bigger one in there. The county payments and all that stuff were pretty light. This here month is when they should be coming in there. So it's really hard to tell on the figures how we're doing and stuff in there. We got the FEMA grants up to date, except for the one I'm working on here right now for the increase due to the debris removal. They're making me jump through a bunch of hoops right now, but in there, so we're working on that. But that's what we got in FEMA so far. We should be getting another 30,000 coming in sometime here, hopefully. And then going contracted services was kind of our big thing here this last month. Otherwise, you can see the bills are pretty small. 64,071 declared. So we had a gain of 15,000. So we had 187,491 at the end of April. There's nothing really out of the ordinary on there. The only thing is that I did audit for insurance on our payroll and stuff in there, and so we got a $782 credit back on our insurance. So we spent $23,553 on insurance. That's what we'll stick with for the year, unless we buy something, brand new or something that goes onto our insurance. But we budgeted 21 and 23,553 will be our final figure here now. So unless there's any other questions on it, like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory. That there isn't much. A lot of small stuff, but there's big stuff should be coming this month.
Do we have a motion to accept their treasury report as read?
I'd second it.
All in favor, say aye. Old business. Tree agreement.
So I gave you guys all a packet. There are a couple extra ones up there, pages 1 through 5, relates to the tree agreement. This was the bid that you already awarded, and we just had never signed the agreement because we wanted to make sure we had clearly specified with Petrick what trees were going to be removed. So this is the exhibit. So just need a motion to approve the service agreement. We've already awarded the bid to it, but this is the actual tree agreement. And then I'll give you an update after we just approve this.
I'd make a motion to approve the agreement.
I second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, in terms of an update, the agreement had him provide some updates to Rich when we were about 70,000. So he's been in communication with Rich to do all the work that is specified in the tree agreement that we wanted done. He's going to be right at about $80,000. The bid was for $83,900. So, as I understand it, there are a couple of things that there's been a request for an add-on. So I don't know if you specifically want to do that now, but we have a little extra money from what we initially bid out. So the two things that he and Rich were talking about adding to the contract is 41st Street from the historic sign to the driveway to the south side of the road to cut out that brush. And then on 264th and 483rd, there's a poplar and a cedar tree that there's been some discussion to have those two sections added on and have him do those within the remaining portion of the bid. Because the contract was up to 83.9, he wasn't sure exactly how much it would take. So, are you wanting him to do those other two sections?
And that will put them at 83.9.
I don't know that it'll put him at 83.9, it might be less, but there's two more trees.
But there's still a top one. They can't go over.
Well, we would need to find out, so if you want to go back and say, yes, you can do these two extra things that we were talking about getting done, but we want to make sure that it's not going to be any more than the extra $3,900, and it might be less, but if it's going to be more, then don't do it. So I don't know what you want to do with that. Does that make sense, guys? Okay,
Yes.
what do you want to do?
Yeah, I would motion to move forward with that within the guidelines you just mentioned.
I second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay, so we'll communicate that to him and get those two extra sections, so long as it doesn't cost more than the extra $3,900. So that's item 1.
Okay, then a tree agreement.
Tree agreement with Schmidt Bowers is pages 6 and 8, 6 to 8 of your packet. So Schmidt Bowers specifically asked to not have certain trees along their section removed, but instead just trimmed. So they have agreed that they would be responsible, indemnify, hold harmless the township should anything happen. I have before you on pages 6 through 8 then the agreement that they have already signed. I don't know if you have any questions about it. I know Mark is here anyway if you have some questions of him, but otherwise it'd just be a motion to approve the,
Do they have to have insurance for that, or how do they?
Our umbrella policy, homeowners covers it.
Okay, so your homeowner,
Yes.
do we need a copy of that though?
if you want a copy, we can have them bring it.
When something happens, do we?
He has insurance now, kind of like that person who has the
Yeah,
insurance
but he
card.
might not have insurance for a week there, and then it's still gonna affect our insurance also.
I know, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, we can have him bring it in, we all know.
Yeah.
Somebody has insurance and they don't pay the premium and you don't have it, but Mark, would you mind bringing it in next time?
Yeah, I can show it to you.
Either that or email it to.
Just to Kevin, so he has a copy of it and the policy number? Okay. So if you're okay with that, then I would just need a motion to approve the tree agreement with the Schmidt.
I would motion for that. With the policy. Thank you, Mark.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Yeah, question.
Oh.
Or, yeah. I would like to thank the board and Lisa for doing this for us.
Okay, now we got a maintenance agreement with Robin Wells. And Jen.
Right, so we've been talking with them for about 3-4 years about maybe doing this little section and them paying for the section. So this is it's a maintenance agreement that the township would spread the gravel, the residents will pay $130 per hour for the work for this little section. They have a defend, hold harmless section in there as well. We can terminate it at any time. So that's what this section is. So if you're willing to do the gravel and charge them $130 an hour, then we can increase it each year until we terminate it.
It's more than that. Federal rate, Kevin.
You know,
Yeah, we went by the FEMA rate, is what they've always said that we bill everything by. And so a grader with a moldboard, I think is right around the 14, but moldboard is like for 200, what did I tell you, 200?
200, yeah. Ends up like $230 with the operator,
Yeah, with the operator.
$35 an hour for the operator.
Okay, so we wrote this, we started it with them a couple years ago, and the rate that you guys said back then was 130. Doesn't mean you have to keep it at 130, you don't have to agree to this. So we will just need to go back to them,
I
and,
did tell them what it would be.
but in our written agreement, we have
$230.
230? Okay, so if you're willing to do 230, then, you can make a motion for the maintenance agreement at a $230 an hour rate. You guys can approve it, and then I can go back to them and get their signatures on that one.
Do we have to put the rate down there, or because we kind of go by the current, can we put down there the current FEMA rate for?
It says subject to a reasonable increase each year until we terminate, so we just have to provide notice. So this year would be 230, and then next year you can just tell them it's gonna be 280. And if they want to terminate or we want to terminate, we can.
Okay, because we put them out on there, because FEMA changes, we've been just going involved by FEMA, but that's okay. That's what you're saying, it has to be a dollar amount. I would
rather have a dollar amount of what it's going to be within the signed agreement. And then next year, if you want to change it, we just provide the notice.
Okay.
So if you're okay with that, Todd, you made a motion to approve it with the $230 rate.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Did you guys know, did we do that already, put on a grade them and put gravel in there, or not yet?
Yeah, they have.
That's what I thought, so how many hours a day?
Troy's got it written down.
Okay, I gotta go back.
Okay, next is 264th Street. Any new on that, Kevin?
Yeah, we got denied on 264th. I sent you everybody's email that we got denied that, all the FEMA stuff in there, it didn't, since it's been closed so long here, that it didn't meet for the, standards for, traffic on it and stuff in there. So right now, we're not gonna get any, basically, it's basically a FEMA goes, since I say FEMA, but it goes to the state, so it went to the state funding and the state denied it. So right now, it's dead. Completely.
All right.
Okay. 267th Street.
Well, that, we did get the money, or
That's for the bridge.
we got it for the bridge, the contract's out there, I've been contacting with, the county, I got the engineering costs, and I got the bid to them. They haven't sent me the check yet, they said they would be getting ready to here. I can't remember what the percentage is, 75 or 80%, of that bridge cost, type of deal. I was going back and forth with them a little bit on some of it, but, it has been approved, so, I'm assuming that, within the next month or two here, I'll get the money for 267. For the bridge project.
We haven't heard of a start date on it, and I haven't.
No, and they're not necessarily worried about the start date, they just wanted to know the exact cost of the engineering, the exact cost of the bid, which we have. And then, we talked about it, if all of a sudden they run into problems or whatever, if it's a overrun in cost or whatever, but, we don't think it's gonna be one, so, we should be good to go with 267. It's just getting all the paperwork and stuff in there. And I think I got it all. I actually contacted DGR, and DGR is used to working with the county. And so, I sent a message, or they sent a message to me what they wanted. I sent a message to DGR and with a copy of the contract, and then DGR was gonna get with them with all spec information.
Tom McNamara is a contractor on that.
Okay. They've been pretty easy to work with and stuff in there. I don't physically have the money, but we haven't had to pay anything besides the engineering cost, but they do give us 75% of the engineering cost too, so. So, that's been kind of the, cause they haven't, DGR hasn't billed us all of it. They billed us for 264th and 267th together. So it's hard for me to decipher exactly which, what it was, so that's why I just talked to DGR to give them what the cost of 267 to. But everything should be good to go. Everything's good to go, that the contracts will let, they haven't started though.
They haven't been, Tom hasn't been around, has he?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
We had some trees we're gonna trim over there and brush we're gonna move, so I don't know what he's gonna do and what we have to do, so I thought we'd just wait and see. So he might be coming out with them, and we wanted to deal with it then. Okay. Hidden Valley.
Okay, well, the first part on Hidden Valley is, there's been discussion that, and I just wanted to make it official in the books, to have DGR be involved in giving opinions on what needs to be done regarding the Hidden Valley slurry seal. So when I was talking to DGR, they have been working and giving some opinions, going out, reviewing stuff, gone out there. And so in visiting with DGR on the front end, they were thinking it might be up to about $1,000 for that. So I would like to have that official in the record that you're authorized to spend up to $1,000 on DGR for engineering related services to determine what needs to be done, if anything, in Hidden Valley.
I so move.
I'd second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, and then regarding anything that is actually done, DGR has folks that work on those roads and have good experience on it. And they thought it might be up to $1,700 to be actually out there for about 10 hours a time when work is being done. So I would like a motion, if you want to retain DGR to be out there watching what's getting done and providing input, that you would retain DGR to provide that work for up to $1,700.
Make a motion to that.
I second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I would just let the public know it's engineering services, so it doesn't have to be bid out, plus it's below any threshold anyway. Okay, now regarding Hidden Valley, in your packet, pages 11 through 19, other than, sorry, page 14 is the resolution, so that's a little out of order, but in any event, over the course of the last numerous weeks, there's been a lot of information provided. DGR has gone out, Hidden Valley residents have gone out and gotten opinions as well and provided them to the township. They have provided to you pictures. I know Rich has gone out. I think Marv and Todd have also gone out. We have had Minnehaha County go out. DGR has gone out, and I gave to the supervisors, and throughout all of this, I've been providing to the supervisor summary of information. So what I put into the packet are things that the supervisors have already looked at in terms of ASCO's comments and DGR's comments, a couple other engineering, Minnehaha comments. They've looked at that information. I tried to summarize what the Hidden Valley residents put in terms of their experts in the manufacturer information, but they did include that, and the supervisors have had all that as well to review. ASCO, I put on page 11 what their offer is to the township here. The offer that they're willing to do, as set forth on page 11, is essentially to come in and do a seal coat of the product listed therein. Before doing that, ASCO and Rich, and if we want DGR to come out, we'll go and physically inspect sections of the road to determine if there's any existing surface irregularities that resulted from the 2024 slurry seal. And if those sections they decide are from the 2024 slurry seal, then reasonable corrections will be made by ASCO prior to putting a seal coat application. The seal coat application will be done sometime between June 15th and the 31st. ASCO would send the notice to Rich and DGR at least 5 days before that. It's going to be done in 2 coats. First application, they squeegee, which will help to fill and level most of the minor surface irregularities. The second application is sprayed, which gives a better aesthetic finish. They need to do the job in sections of blocks of the road, so the road will be fully closed to traffic in the section to allow 24 hours to cure. During that time, the residents will have to park outside in the closure area and walk. In exchange for ASCO being willing to do this, the township would waive any claim for any faulty slurry seal done back in 2024. Now that doesn't, if something happened in the 2025 seal coat, that's different, but we're talking about trying to resolve this issue for 2024. Aesthetically, as you see in the packet, DGR, our engineers have noted that aesthetically it will make it look better. They believe the mill and overlay that has been suggested by others is overkill. There's good structural value before any mill and overlay would be necessary. The opinions are all there. I'll let you look at them. I know you guys have looked at them all, but at this point, I think it's just a matter of the supervisors making a decision whether they want to accept ASCO's offer or if they want to do something else. The something else would be either to do nothing or to essentially sue ASCO and say, we believe something else needs to be done and you need to pay X, Y, and Z. We would have to prove what our damages are. We have our expert right now saying a mill and overlay is not needed. This is what you elect the supervisor to do. I know the residents have some different opinions have been expressed, but this is a decision you guys have to make. If you do litigation, I would tell you litigation is expensive and you don't get the attorney's fees back. You don't get your expert fees back, so we would be spending well into $50,000 of attorney's fees, if not more, to go to court to say something else needs to be done, and we'd have to prove what that needs to be done. And right now, our own expert says mill and overlay doesn't need to be done, and it's not structurally impeding the road. So it's your decision to make, and if you want to make a motion on what you want to do, I think that's
Get a chance to comment.
That's up to the supervisors. They don't have to accept public comment. So I'm just giving a summary right now. They've had at least 3 different meetings of public comment. So
You said a lot. You should have a
I'm
chance to
sorry,
just
you
ask
don't
questions.
have the ability to speak right now, sir. This is not the open forum part. It's up to the supervisors to decide if they want to accept any public comment. So supervisors, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. 1, yes, you can have public comment if you want more comment. That's up to you. 2, if you want to make a motion and have something done, that's what you have to do. So that's what you're elected to do, and that's what you need to do something, which can be nothing.
I make the motion, we go ahead and have it done.
Have what done?
ASCO, and it with a DGR and me,
So your motion is to accept what ASCO's offer is?
yes.
I would second that.
And then motion and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Now, Split Rock Heights, construction detail update. I was informed just the other day that the bids went out for 26th Street, so we're not gonna do anything with barricades, with chance of 26th Street going down too. So, the way it's blocked off, the way it's gonna stay blocked off. Is what we've been talking. And
26th Street will be done in like September, October.
he didn't know. It's been bid letter ready, and if they got time to do it, they'll shut her down and go. And the city engineers even told me, he says, just keep that in mind, Rich, because once they shut that down, people are gonna be looking at another spot.
I would like to add that the most important element of that closure is safety and the speed people travel disrespectfully. I'd just like to add that.
Go ahead.
Darren Doctor live on Stokes. So I know we discussed last meeting about we closed out Quartzsite there. And we said we would revisit it once that closure is done to maybe instead of closing it at Quartzsite there, to close that at the top of Commerce Enterprise in Stokes. For the people that live over by me, there's like 5 houses just south on Quartzsite there on Stokes, go off Stokes Ave. I know it's a little bit more of a challenge, but I think it's definitely doable, particularly if you close it at the top of Stokes, and then you just put an extra barricade where the Split Rock Township building is, and then you close it just south or just north of where those Enterprise and Commerce connect to Quartzsite before the double driveway on each. And I think it would allow, because it does cost us quite a bit, even just to go to Dolly Farm or anywhere to the east. We're driving 3.5 extra miles, and we have to on a routinely basis run into all that traffic on 26, which if 26 goes down, will double the 41st. So it is quite an inconvenience, and I understand people are going to be inconvenienced during this construction. And I know it's slightly more difficult than just closing Quartzsite, but I think it's definitely doable.
My point on that one is, you're not paying into Split Rock Heights to do the blacktop there. These people live in the apartments, they're in the same boat you are. So why was yours more important than theirs?
Because it's not, I mean, we close it for safety. I'm saying,
Right.
hey, I don't think we'd add to the safety problem. And
Well, they're gonna say the same thing.
Okay, are we part of Split Rock Heights?
No,
No, not at all.
you're a private drive.
It's just a question. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be done. I understand that we're not part of it, but
Yeah.
I know there was at least some agreement to the last meeting, so I want to bring it up.
I don't know, we've been I've been thinking about it.
Have you, I think the biggest thing they're talking about is safety, so do you have any concrete comments about safety? What you're seeing for them to consider?
I mean, I've seen a lot. I know that at least on Quartzsite, they keep trying to go around it all the time, driving into roads and stuff. And I think further away you move the barricades might be a little bit safer. So if you move it away from there, and it gets less people into the neighborhood in general. The closer to the entrances you put the barricades, because I routinely see people come up to the barricades and get all upset and turn around and drive away quickly. So the further you spread that from the more toward the heart of the neighborhood, it's better. And that's coming from both ways, I think. But again, be farther from the other entrance.
So right now, you made a motion last time to do certain road closures. If you want to do any other road closures, you would need to make a motion to do other road closures. So it's up to you.
Even
I personally would leave it the way it is, 'cause
Yeah.
pretty soon you're defining, 5 residents use it. What about the next ones down to the service road down here? Where do you stop? Where do you start?
So my question on Stokes Avenue, last time we talked about putting a gate on there. Did you check into that at all?
I did, and, I don't find sufficient legal support to allow for a gate, even if you would put the number right outside of it. So, I believe that would be highly subjected to a challenge that has a high probability of the township losing in court. So, I've looked. Now, we can go to the legislature and ask them to put statutes up there. We know how easy that's been to get some legislative relief. It takes like 5 or 6 years sometimes, but I don't find anything out there, and I'll tell you, just so people know, you can do AI and type something in that says gate road closures and find stuff, but then if you actually read the statutes they're citing or the cases they're citing, that's not what they're citing. I mean, that's not the cases and the statutes are, so I don't find sufficient legal support to allow us to do it at all, the gates.
I did have a follow-up question. So the apartment complex you referenced, the one behind Casey's, is that the one you're talking about?
Well, just anybody in general, I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, are they in Sioux Falls or is that still part of Split Rock Township?
I believe that's Sioux Falls.
Okay. So again, like, I guess my input is to, obviously keep the people, because this focuses on Split Rock Township, right? So we try to keep us safe and the more convenient thing for the entire township. And I guess that's my input. I get, hey, if you move it here to help these people, move it here to help these people. Like, I get it's going to keep going, but I don't see us moving it further out than what I see. I mean, it's really just opening up our little cul-de-sac. So like decisions here, I think are in the best purview of the township for safety and the most convenience of the people who live in the township. It wouldn't necessarily apply to the apartment complex that's in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
I got a couple questions on that there. So we have two speed signs on there. In there, but it's closed and stuff there. I know they still have some speeding issues on there, but did we want to move one of those signs over the 20 or 41st Street now? Or since we're going to keep it closed, because we talked about if we was going to open it up, we'd probably leave the signs there. You want to move one of the signs out of there?
I think we should probably move on 41st.
Yeah, because 41st is getting a lot of in there, and we had a request a 41st. We had a request on another spot too, but I think we need to leave probably one in there for now. Now, and then there's been a lot of issues with them moving the signs, moving that close sign, moving the close signs and going through some private land in there.
Well, private land, I mean, I would encourage people to pursue their own legal remedies. The road closure sign, I mean, if you see it move it back. We're not gonna put a camera on it.
Okay, because that's what
There is a camera. There is a camera.
we've been
There is one.
we've been getting it, and then Troy has been moving it. We've been having to call Troy, and then Troy moves it back there. It's quite there.
Constantly moves it.
The private individual, and we talked about it because I said it's going to probably be closed for a long period. So then he's going to have to put on his own expense to stop the people from coming across his private stuff.
The one thing that the road, even if it gets moved over, the person has to get out of their car and do it. So not everybody's gonna do that.
Yeah, but there's
we-
still quite a few times.
Yeah.
And we get.
So when you see it, move it back. That's all I can say, because putting up a permanent barricade is not what you guys want. You haven't made a motion to do that yet. So,
Greg, what have you heard from the residents in there?
Well, there's several residents here. I personally, I haven't heard anything in terms of the emails I sent back. I will make the exception that people were concerned about concerned about a person parking up by the barricades, and if emergency services needed to move that. There was a car that was parked there on a couple different occasions. It might be useful to put a no parking sign in front of those barricades. That's one thing I heard, you know. Any
Well, the
other,
guy that parks there works in that building, and he parks to the side, so if there's an emergency truck comes through, they got plenty of room.
well, the last time I looked, he blocked 1.5 of those barricades.
Oh.
Half the
Usually I
road
don't
is
think
still
it's that way,
open,
so.
I'm just pointing it out. But then if someone sees he's parked there, then they say I can park there too. So I think it should be no parking, my opinion. And it's in the right of way. And I don't think people should be normally parking in the right of way unless it's in front of their residence.
Are we allowed to comment about the speed issue we've been having? We put in a 4-way stop sign, 4 stop signs at Split Rock Road and Overland. And
It's not working.
it's routinely gone through, and the individuals who tend to speed in that neighborhood sometimes like rev their engines as they're going through to show that they're not going to be stopping. Is there any way that we might be, and the residents who do that, go back and forth through there, can go through a dozen times a day and never meet anybody else. So the stop signs were to slow down traffic. It's not working, especially in certain individuals.
The whole cul-de-sac, my house is where the new stop sign is on the east side. They're not stopping. So they'll tap the brakes, they'll slow down a mile, and then they go right through the stop sign. They're gonna hurt someone.
My question is there any way that, and then we also have the speed limit sign in the middle that tells you how fast you're going. Is there any way we could put speed bump 1 or 2 even? I mean, the stop signs, aren't being followed and are of questionable value in my estimation. If there's any way we could put, for example, a speed bump or something there and or where that speed sign tells you how fast you're going on Split Rock, then that would be much more effective, because sometimes these people are going over 40 miles an hour down that road. And then we also have the same people who go and see that it's blockaded and then come back and are going quite rapidly too.
Virgil's got. a little
There's,
information.
the average speed on both Quartzsite and Split Rock is about 30 miles an hour. That said, their traffic count, or with the traffic counts, which are in half from what they used to be, but there's a significant number of cars doing 40 and 50 miles an hour.
Yes, yes.
The sign reports on both of them, especially Split Rock.
There's probably 8 boys that have bikes and go up and down our cul-de-sac right in front of, there's a whole bunch of young boys
I mean, we
on
can
scooters and
print the
bikes.
report and take it to the sheriff and
That's all we can do.
See if-
We don't police it.
So it's my opinion that an unmarked sheriff's car parked around the corner between 7:30, I'm not joking, between 7:30 and 8:30 and 5:30 and 6:30, issuing citations would take care of it.
I can request, I have taken the data and requested there. They don't like to, the sheriff's department don't like to be told where to set. I did actually talk to them because they did say the speed on especially on Overland there. And I talked to them that we should at least go there, sit there and have on their brake, at least try to slow it down. They weren't very there, but we should probably send a more formal one to them, because I agree with it, seeing the speed on the deals, it's not good for residential.
Well, we can have the supervisor send them a letter and make the request to come out there at certain times in certain areas. And
I don't know if it wouldn't just take a look and put a speed bump there and try to stop it too, but.
that's what I would request, is just to have a speed, have 1 or 2, I don't care, but just to slow these people down. Some are in our neighborhood and some are, driving through upset that they can't get through. But there's concern that somebody's gonna get hit, or those of us who walk the road every day.
Just so you're aware that I do post the the report on the website so that you could go to the front page and scroll down and actually see, the traffic counts and the speeds. And I'll make sure that that report is on there too, so you can see that if you do call in.
I will point out, at least after talking to you, Kevin, a few weeks ago, I think those traffic counts are one way and not both ways.
Yeah, they're.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So so if it says 400 or 420, which is the last one I saw just before I came here, it's really probably double that.
Do you know how many people want speed bumps? Is it just you? I mean, is it the neighborhood?
People are very upset with the speeding. Do you
I
that?
know about the speeding, but the speed bumps, because some people pay them and stuff, so is it, have you guys talked in the neighborhood?
I don't think we've talked, but I think any of us who drive the speed limit recognize that it's a good thing. Anybody who doesn't want to drive the speed limit is going to be upset.
Oh, where?
So I think for safety purposes, I think safety is more important than what people feel like.
We can try to do a request again for the sheriffs, but like I said, they don't like to be told where even though I tell them for safety wise, they haven't been too responsive.
Oh,
Do you feel we move in speed bump, we got 2 speed bumps in there now. If we move that one by the closure, I think,
Yeah,
just move that one over there and
be great. Then you wouldn't need the 4-way sign or that, the stop sign, people are routinely not paying attention to.
but if,
It's,
I still, citations will make them stop.
I don't, we don't give them out.
I'm going, can I?
Yeah.
Well, if you're okay with it, I'll send a message to the sheriff's office and just say that as a township that we talked about it for safety wise and we got the data. I'll send it to them, but.
Well, it's not just the data, but the residents are seeing people routinely blow by that
Yeah.
stop sign and not even slow down. It's one thing for speeding, because they don't like
Yeah.
sitting out there speeding, but I do think they write tickets if you don't stop it.
Yeah.
I've gotten a ticket for not stopping, and that was
Well, I'll.
not there.
As
It
long as you're
was
okay.
15 years ago, but, I mean, I always stop now at that one
but
spot.
people have been there 25 years and now there's new stop signs.
Yeah.
And there's nobody coming and going. I mean, there hasn't been a need for that in the past.
Just mention that people are not stopping
Yeah,
stop
okay.
sign too.
So you want speed bumps on which road on that one?
Split Rock.
Let's put that.
I would say put it west of Overland. Split Rock Road west of Overland. Would you agree?
Yes,
Yeah, that would get people coming off of Overland.
right. And you could put there or where that current stop, speed limit, or that tells you how fast you're going with that.
Well, I think,
Yes, that would be good, actually, west of Overland.
yeah, I think that would be,
Because that slows them down at the intersection.
Okay, we'll move that bumps and over there and see how that goes.
So you're gonna make sure, you're gonna tell Troy what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we actually have a couple of speed bumps too, yeah.
We do, but
Okay.
I had some calls the other way too, so.
Yeah, I know.
But
I have two.
the cars being bounced around when they go over them.
But it's probably the
I
ones
know.
that are speeding.
But you try to please everybody and it can't be done. So, anyway. So enough of that new business.
Speaking
Resolution.
of speed, right? So, you asked me to draft a resolution on, the speed for Riverview. So you have before you resolution 25-2 to set the speed on Riverview at 30 miles an hour. You have 30 at Maple, 35 North Powder House, McCarty Street, 25 other roads. So the resolution is to set Riverview at 30 miles per hour. You would need a motion to adopt that. That's the resolution you asked me about, page 14.
I make the motion, we accept the resolution.
I would second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rich, is that 35 mile an hour sign that's in front of the Wedding Barn, is that your sign?
No, it's a 30.
It says 35. I
They're
just drove by it last night, Sunday night.
They changed it then because it was 30.
It says
I
35.
think it's the cities, I don't think it's ours. When first come off the highway, it's
Yeah, there's
quarter
one,
mile.
there's one real close to the Wedding Barn there that says 35.
I was just by it here a month ago and it was 30.
I went by it last Sunday night.
So I just changed that back because the road is technically was 35 and they had that on that.
Yeah.
I can get a hold of Heath and see
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
going on.
because
with
that's
that.
a city, that's a city
Yeah.
sign.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
So yeah, you need to get a hold of them and rechange it back to 30. Because that was one of the reasons that we talked about changing that one to 30 because 41st is 30
Yep.
also.
Okay, yeah, so we just changed from 30 back to 30, so. We continue, maybe.
Okay, that's all old business now.
No, yeah, well, but yeah, you already did this, we're already on this, that was one.
Okay, then. Anderson Access Road.
Okay, so that's pages in your packet 20 to 27. We did get an application for a road approach by Daryl Anderson. So what's in your packet is his application. And then the second page of that, on page 21, is if you're going to do it, that's what has to be filled out. So just keep that in mind. Page 22, if you look at page 22, I just kind of summarized for you at the top, you know, initial fee considerations, if you're gonna allow the access road. Are we gonna do an initial fee, you know, how much? And if we're gonna do a set lump sum, so those are just a summary of those things. So I know you guys have been looking at this and provided information to you before. In the packet, I have given to you, as well as before, the history of the pavement in North Royal Oaks. Mr. Anderson, as I put forth in that, paid $31.56. The Blues and Fugsby paid part of that, the township paid part of it. That was an agreement by the 2017 supervisors to have them pay that and then pave that section of the road. Since then, the Andersons have not paid any front footage assessment because we can't do a front footage assessment technically for those last 8 years since they paid that lump sum. The average amount that the Hidden Valley residents have paid, and understand everybody that this is the average amount per property, is $494. In their yearly front footage assessment, I just gave you some other properties there along the side of what the Blues pay, the Johnson pay, and the Cheddars pay for their front footage assessment, because we can assess them front footage. The average amount of what the Hidden Valley residents paid back when they were paving their sections of the road, what the then supervisors required. So before you really are 3 decisions. One decision is, do you want to allow an access road, and if so, where? So right now he has 2, he has one kind of more north and one more south. So one question is, are you gonna allow an access road, and if so, one or both? 2 would be the amount of an annual payment that you would set for that access. And 3 would be, is there a sum that you believe he should pay, recognizing he hasn't paid anything for 8 years, and other residents, for example, have paid that. Page 23 of your packet is this map that I asked Kevin to put up as well. Through GIS mapping, I've given you all the distances from where his road is, where the access road is, to where various points are along that area. So gave that to you to consider the last week or so in trying to decide what you wanted to do, if anything, for like a yearly amount, and then if you want to multiply that for not paying anything. I know Mr. Anderson's here, so if you have questions of him, you can certainly ask. But otherwise, it's for you to decide those questions. 1, should there be an access road, and if so, where? 2, a lump sum for the past, and 3, what should, this year's be then? Being set for the next year, I guess, because I say 8 years, which would have included this year, so I suppose that should really just be 7 years, so. Okay, in any event, so that's what you guys have got to decide.
What we've got to approve the road approach, is that the first thing we do?
Yeah, I mean, so do you want to allow an
No.
access road? So if you say no, you don't want one, then we have to decide the next 2 questions, so is that something you're willing to allow?
I'd make a motion to approve the access.
Yeah, I second.
Okay, and we can all put this together in one and just like the issue, so you're willing to allow it, and then would you want it from the north point on there and the south point, or just one of those? I think if you're gonna do one, you told me his preference would be to have the one closer to his property.
Can I say something?
This is Mr. Anderson.
Gentlemen, you've got a north access and a south access. I would be willing to take out that south access. The other one, we usually have to driveway to get it there. In my-
By your building,
Pardon?
basically not too far from your building.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know if the 2 accesses is the issue, though, is it?
Is what?
The 2 accesses, one, you know, if he has 1 access or 2 access, I don't really see that as the issue, so he only is gonna be driving through one of them.
It doesn't add more cars in the road.
Yeah.
But again, it's up to you.
To me, that isn't the issue. The issue is what you charge and then what you're setting a precedent for what we charge when we do these.
Well, and I wouldn't necessarily agree that we're setting a precedent, because they're supposed to be looking at all these factors, and every property has different issues, so. So I don't think if you accept, or if you say he should pay 500, then that's gonna become what it means, that that's what somebody else is going to pay. So,
I'd still make the motion for 1 access to follow with the next 2 items. If there's ever a second access, to do an individual application.
okay, so Todd, talking about allowing just the north access, I don't know.
That'd be my motion.
I'll second that motion.
What I should do is remove that south access. I can do that.
Okay. And I think for purposes of what we're doing, would be to set everything at once, so I mean, I think you've decided, sounds like maybe just a north access, and then what would you want to set the annual amount at, and is there any back due amount that you would also have to pay, essentially, what, a lump sum?
Lisa, I just have a question for the annual assessment.
It's really not an assessment, it's a fee.
Oh, it's a fee, so it doesn't go
It
to.
doesn't go in the front footage assessment.
Okay,
Yes.
that's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have to finish the first motion?
No, I mean, I think what, for what we're doing is, I just need you guys to make a decision of what you want to do, and then we can put it all into motion. So if you want to allow the access on the north, fine, but how much money is that going to cost him, if any? In terms of an annual amount, and if there's any lump sum loan as well.
Like you say, you paid 31 something to start out with.
Yep. Back in 2007. 17, sorry. So is there a yearly amount that you believe he should pay? this year, it would be set that unless you change it next year.
I would motion it to be the average as is presented.
So you're saying a yearly amount of $494?
Yes.
Okay. Barbara Rich, do you believe anything different?
No, you talking rears
Not arrears right now, just the annual amount.
annual fee. That's fine.
Marv, you want something different? Are you good with that?
No, it sounds good to me.
Okay. And then is there a lump sum amount that he also should pay? What I presented to you is he paid in 2017, that 3156. Since then, he has not paid anything and been using that road for the 7 years. Other township residents in the development have paid different footage, so is there some amount that you want him to pay in a lump sum as well as the 494?
I'd make a consideration of the 2018 to 2025. And if you did it at the current average, that's probably higher than if you averaged every year. I'd be okay with just using the 494, less what you already paid.
I don't understand what you mean by less what he paid.
You talking 31?
Yeah, the 31. If you paid that initially towards that when you started to use it,
Well, other than I'd say some residents paid $12,000, some residents paid, they all paid a lump sum to develop it,
okay.
and he paid a lump sum.
then I would.
So, I'm sorry if I didn't clarify that, but when
That's
those
okay.
roads were built, like, I don't remember what,
2017.
yeah, somebody paid maybe 14,000, somebody paid maybe 8,000, somebody paid. So, but since then, all those people have also paid for footage.
And I'd go with that without subtracting the previous.
So 470,
7 times 4
And
is
seven?
94.
820, 321, 24, is that 2488, Kevin, Mr. Treasurer?
Well, I didn't, I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't go to law school to do math, Kevin. Okay, hang on. 494 times 7,
So.
Yeah. 3458, right? So 494 times 7 years, 3458. So then what I'm hearing is you're willing to grant the access road on the north section of the property with him paying a yearly fee of $494 and a lump sum fee of $3,458 one time.
Correct.
Okay. So we can put that into page 21. And then on that is, you want, I would assume, to check if applicable under number 3 on page 21, that if he doesn't pay the fee, that you can revoke that access. So you'd like to check that? Okay.
This fee too, do you have it on there where it goes to?
Well, it goes into
The Hidden Valley.
the
You're
Hidden
gonna go into
Valley.
Hidden Valley Development, do you have it?
Yeah, it says Hidden Valley, and you have to
Okay.
be placed in the Hidden Valley Development
As
Account.
long as I know it.
And it says that yearly they can change that. So the lump sum of 3458. Are there any additional terms and conditions? Oh, when do you want him to pay that?
Go by the annual, like.
Well, I mean, the
March
lump
1st.
sum, no, if he's gonna use
Maybe
it.
another year then.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, by June 1st, July 1st,
Oh, I see, yeah.
you know, some date
Net 30.
in 30 days. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can pay it, whatever.
Okay. So that would be by June 13th. Okay. Any other terms or conditions?
You said, Troy, or Todd, you said about you could apply for another. So that would, if you wanted to keep the other one, you could apply for
The second.
a second one.
So then otherwise it would be,
So does he need to take the other one out? Then
If he's not gonna have it,
You're
yeah.
not gonna have it, you take it out.
so then it would be a motion to grant the access road permit to Daryl Anderson, north one, where he needs to pay the $454 annual fee and the $34.58 lump sum fee by 6/13/2025, with the revocation for failure to pay term applicable. So that would have to be the motion.
What you said, that sounds good.
So Todd made the motion, who seconded it?
Todd made a motion, I'll second.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
We have a motion in a second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we'll go to elected officials updates.
I don't have anything.
The parking lot out here is, kind of a this week and next week. There'll be a gravel surface on it by the end of this week. There is a little event going on here Saturday, but they actually welcome it getting packed in, people driving on it. So then they're gonna do the blacktopping on it next week. There are provisions for the fire trucks to be elsewhere for the evenings. And, they won't be able to drive on it for a number of days. So that's your update on this parking lot. It's been long overdue, but, moving forward,
It's blacktop though.
it'll be blacktop again. There's a little snafu on this sheetrock over here. One of the skid loaders made it through the wall.
Are they gonna stripe it?
It's gonna be striped, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure I saw that on the order.
See, the trees are being cut. You guys did an excellent job grading after the rain. The rain was something that we didn't expect, that gravel would turn into mud. It did, but by the afternoon, that afternoon after it quit raining, they were out grading. I think they did an excellent job of getting the roads back in shape. And we got some good grader operators. Through the phone calls that I got, so
Could I speak to that, please?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't hear it quite as well as everybody else. Too damn many shotgun shells in my life. But I live in Oak Ridge Place, and there are two other folks, Mr. Anderson and Dr. Soy, and you do a marvelous job on our road for the last 30 years. But whoever put down, whatever they put down was not gravel, it was clay. Very, very dangerous, coming both ways. My wife and Mrs. Soy both almost went in the ditch. And as long as it stays dry, it's wonderful. But when it gets wet, it turns very slippery and very dangerous very fast. I would say you need to go buy some real gravel and put on it. Or scrape off that clay you put on and take it someplace else. But given that, you've done, for the last 30 years, a marvelous job on that road.
Half an inch of rain, it turns into 4 inches of mud.
we're out of public comment.
We'll get to that point.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's all I got. A good thing I only got a year left on the board.
Yeah.
I don't need them phone calls.
I guess I've had problems with the roads are getting so hard now that the boys thinking about going greater bit system like we used to have, remember? They're burning through a cutting edge in 3 miles. Just trying to break it loose.
Yeah.
So it does pack hard, but they're, Troy's doing a good job. I mean, guy we got help working for us. He's putting the bump signs up, he's putting the road signs up. He's keeping up on all that. That's basically what I got.
You don't want me to talk about gravel then, or?
Yeah, well, you can talk about this, but we'll go to the public after that.
Well, in there is that, there's been a lot going on with the FEMA and stuff in there, but I got some bills for, the culverts. We have the road maintenance now, the stop sign, or the stop sign that, was a request from the insurance for a stop sign, and a pole. And then they said, I talked to Rich and I said I was gonna charge $100 labor for the two people that, had to put up the signs and stuff in there. And then now the bill for the road access or whatever, and once it gets done or whatever. So I got the unpaid bills in there, and, I did a lot of talking about the gravel, but, so you can go to public comment and talk about gravel.
Okay, nothing else, go to public comment.
Yes, Andrew Soy, I live on Oak Ridge Place, and there's 7 families, which is off Madison Street. There's 7 families who live off that access. And something which I don't really recognize as road gravel was put down this spring, and it turns to slurry with any significant rain. And it did get really bad, and it is dangerous when it's like that. It pulls your car off the road. And it was then graded, looked pretty good, until we got a ½ inch of rain. And then, as I said before, it turned to 4 inches of muck. And it's not only bad for the cars, I mean, it packs in your wheel well, but it's just very hard to drive through. And so I'm just asking, what was put down, and what can be done about it?
Okay, we contacted Everest and we did a sample, and we had it analyzed.
We had 2 samples and stuff in there that was done. It was close to specs, but it was underneath our specs. It did have too much clay in it. I talked with LG Everest and stuff, and they're supposed to be here.
I am actually right here. Actually, it has the least amount of clay. The spec that was called out was between 3 and 11 for the PI, which is called a plastic.
Can we just stop saying, what's the radio? Can we stop the radio? Can we shut the?
You pull that door shut.
Okay, go ahead. Can you start? I couldn't really hear
That's
you.
okay. A plasticity index means it's what absorbs. It's the absorption rate of the material. So the higher the PI, the more clay is in the material. So what you called out was for between 3 and 11, and we were at 3. So we're at the very lowest clay content in a road gravel. So if it was muddy, it would have had to come from maybe shoulders. I think the roads were really hard underneath, and then when they put that gravel down, that slow rain just kind of soaked it in until they could grade it off. But we are inspecting. We have put the same material down on your roads for the past 4 years. So
I had put some on, and we had talked, me and you had talked, that we put some on my road.
Yep.
It turned to mush. And now we haven't had rain on it, but I have watered it because I'm doing some grass on there, and it turns to mush even though it's got that hard coat on there. And I've heard the deal that, pulling the roads, pulling the roads made it and stuff like that, and then dry and stuff in there, but it's still, it turns to mush yet. So there's something that's a little bit wrong with the mixture.
well, I'm just going off geotech specifications, and I talked to Nick, the guy you hired to do this or whatever. And so as far as what was asked for the road gravel and what we provided was the material provided. And there again, I I mean, I don't know if they got a lot of complaints last year or the prior year, but it's
We
been the
always
same
have.
gravel for 4 years.
No, we have not had any complaints, and that's why we're kind of stuck with through there, but it was mush. And on my road, I brought in some core, crushed gravel because it was dangerous on my road. And not, in some of the other roads, if you drove on them, we don't all have 4-wheel drives that go through it, and I have steep ditches, and it was dangerous, and I agree. So we did the specs. He said that, yes, the gravel is good as long as we put dust control on it, because it does pack good. But I'm telling you, it wasn't very good stuff or whatever. We're lucky we didn't have an accident and stuff in there, because then it would have been.
Well, and I did, after I visited with you, I called, so we provide Brandon Township, Springdale Township, Martin Township in Hills, Minnesota. And they had some complaints initially after the rain too, but then once it got bladed, I haven't, no one else has said
But it
anything,
hasn't
so-
rained again. That's where that's gonna be the true test, is gonna be when it rains again.
Well, it's so hard now, I think it's.
I disagree with you. We're gonna see that when it.
Come over my house and water what I graded. I spent 2 hours on
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
I hope we get some rain.
The problem is you got dust control and it's rocks.
There's
all
no
over.
dust control in my road though.
But the first stuff that he messed with and packed in there is good. You know that.
I got 2 hours in the grade.
You didn't do nothing with the rest
You
of your
haven't graded
stuff.
the rest of your.
Well,
where
it's
your
slowed
water.
down with the skid steer and stuff in there, but
See,
it's still, if you get it wet, we'll see on these other roads.
Yeah,
You're
but
telling me that when it gets wet, it isn't gonna do
the
it.
problem is you got a
But
hard.
I'm telling you, if it gets wet, it's gonna do it on
Okay.
these guys' roads that they're talking
No,
about.
they won't.
No, we won't. The
We'll
problem
see.
is you got dust control on there. The road is so hard, we cannot cut the road to begin with. This spring we put gravel on there. It was so dry, it's turned to powder. Everybody drove on it. It didn't pack in the original gravel that was on the road. So then it rained slow and steady, and pretty much it sat there like a sponge on that hard dust control pad.
So you're saying don't put the gravel on there because we got the deal because it might rain and then it's gonna be dangerous.
It's so hard though, we can't break it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it was definitely dangerous on the roads, and we had all.
It's Mother Nature. You couldn't help that situation. You couldn't help that situation.
This is the first time we've ever had it with that gravel, and you're defending the gravel.
I'm not defending the gravel. We're in the business of doing excavating work. He did your road in the beginning. It's hard. It's not hard the rest of the way. And he
It is
packed
hard
it in
the
there.
rest of the way because I put more stuff on it.
It is now.
Yeah,
Because you put different material in it.
yeah, but on top of it, but that's what I'm saying.
But
They didn't on these other
we
ones.
talked to Troy, and Troy did the best he could to mix the gravel together. He can't cut the dust control, the beginning stuff. It's too hard. So we couldn't mix it together. We couldn't mix it together.
But
After he went out and mixed it together
You
now,
can- you
it's
can-
so hard now, we can't cut it. Now we gotta buy a whole different bid system to even cut the road.
I'm still saying that the product was not very good.
I guess we're supposed to have rain tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I know it's a dangerous way to say it, but we'll see what does, what we call curve. Hopefully it doesn't get slippery and hopefully it doesn't get all mushy again.
So Rich did pull up the edges of the ditches out on the middle of the road, bring a little bit much dirt in with that.
It'll add to it, yeah.
267 got a little mushy too. I don't know. And now it's hard as a rock.
We haven't pulled ditches in for 15 years.
But we did this spring.
This is for sure. I've
And
noticed.
Brandon Township did, and
They kind of had the same.
Valley Springs did too.
And Valley Springs is using stencil and gravel, and they have 0 PI. They just sand. They don't have any clay. Yeah, but they had mushy roads too, and no, they don't have any clay in there, so I think it was just kind of a perfect storm with that rain that we had. And it had been so dry the previous year that it made for unsafe
Treacherous,
conditions
yeah.
on some roads,
Yeah.
on a lot of roads actually. But I think now with the way they bladed it, I'm hopeful that, and we're supposed to get rain tomorrow, so, hopefully going forward, let's get the rain, and then, yeah, hopefully they are hard and it's.
It's ultimate dangerous on this piece of road because there are no shoulders. It goes straight down in a ditch on both sides for about 100 feet. So there's no place to go but in a deep ditch. And I'd have to tell you, it was very muddy and very clayish. And hopefully it'll get better.
Yes, I hope so, yes.
And we'll see
Come tomorrow, maybe.
by Friday.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
if it turns to mud on Friday, what would you like us to do?
Well, just put the pictures on there like what you did, it showed that.
Come on through your driveway.
Yeah, we're gonna get those,
I just
great.
No, that's what the ladies did. They had to go through Anderson's land because they couldn't use the road.
And I'm sure he was more than happy to do it. But yeah.
This has never been a problem. I've lived there for 36 years. It has never been a problem till this year.
When was the last time we were in a drought?
76.
There's been many times.
It's not getting enough rain to blade roads.
No, they're not enough moisture.
People are whining the roads have bumps in it. Oh, if Troy goes open that road up, it'll be washboard.
But it's,
You know,
I'm okay with washboard. I just want to be able to drive through it and get from A to B and
yeah,
not go
it's,
through
we just need
Anderson's
some
land.
moisture and stuff to get it mixed together.
We'll see what happens here, but go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I've lived on Indian Hills Trail for 30 years, and this is the first year we've gotten whatever this orange stuff is on the road. I mean, it's orange. I mean, it comes in orange in my driveway, it's a pile of orange in my garage. I never had this orange slime before that we have now. So something's changed in the last less than a year. Whatever is going on the road. I mean, I've had clay that's more of a, brownish color, but this is some kind of orange coating of some sort. And yeah, when it rains, maple turns into a slip slide. And my road's not too bad because it doesn't get much traffic, but Maple's just a slippery,
I know.
dangerous mess.
We dealt with
It's
that.
this orange,
Got through it.
whatever this orange color is what's different. I don't know what it is.
So if this is the same material that LG's been putting on for,
I've been here for 4 years is when I've been
4
selling,
years.
yeah.
So how far out of spec or different spec is this year compared to the last 3?
None, and actually this pile that we put up, so we put up 100,000 tons last year, so that's still the same gravel as last year. You know what I mean?
It's just the fines are in the middle of the pile. and the
Well,
stones
no,
are on
because the
outside.
loaders, I mean, we have to mix it, so that's what like Geotech, when they go out there to take the sample, they actually have them dig into the center of the pile, they dump it, and then they split that, and that's how they get there. So we are in spec, that's not always optimal though, every road is different. Some roads have more clay on initially, and so you don't want any PI, and then some have none, and you need a little more clay, but we can only make it in the spec, and that's, you know what I mean? That's the most we can do, but as far as orange, that I don't know.
It was orange.
No, I understand, but you can see the big pile out there by Rowena, that big pile right up the road, that's what we're going to.
Let Todd speak.
I'm not a civil engineer. I do have an engineering degree, not as a civil. I have a brother that is, but I didn't talk to him at all about this, and I've run these gravel roads just before I was able to drive. And the interesting thing to me, and we fielded a lot of phone calls, is I had people telling me the ruts were 4 and 6 inches deep. The gravel that was added this year wasn't that deep. So you had a road surface foundation that changed that deep from the phone calls I received. And it's unfortunate, and I realize it's a dangerous thing. I have also been picked up before for not driving properly, and the officer said I didn't drive to conditions. So safety-wise, we all have to drive to conditions. I did pay my fine when I got that ticket. And I just am saying that in everybody's benefit. I hope it doesn't happen again. We all do. But it's an interesting thing. Like I said, I heard comments that the ruts were very deep. I thought to myself, that's deeper than the gravel that was added. And again, it's an act of God. Hopefully, I hope the next rain that changes is a lot better. Please drive accordingly if it does happen. And I'm sure we'll have to deal with it if it continues. That's the best I can say. I hope that helps everybody. I don't want any incidents of somebody getting hurt, because I'm on the fire department too. And it's no fun going to the steep ditches and somebody doing one of these. That's all I got to say. Thanks for listening.
Well, the ladies were driving very slow.
I'm sure they were. Yeah. I'm just
We,
telling
we
you.
know the conditions were bad that.
Well, I hope it, like I said, you guys have done a superior job on that road for 30+ years. Something different happens. I don't know exactly what it was. And hopefully it'll go away and we'll be fine.
We hope so too. If not, we gotta deal with it.
So the question is, you're gonna accept the gravel and then just pay the bill then, under this,
Well, it's in the spec. And
no, it's in the edge of the spec.
why can't we wait till Friday and see what happens there? If we get rain, you know?
Not if, we're gonna get two.
I hope we get two
Yeah, so
nice.
just hold that.
Yeah, I don't have it. I didn't do the payment.
So,
I didn't put it on.
well, I hope we answered your questions and you know where we stand. We had it tested right away, so we know there was a problem there. We'll try to resolve it.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll go through Mr. Anderson's new entry.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Just a quick question, just to clarify, up on Quartzsite, you're gonna keep the barricade there through, for the most part, through the Arrowhead, east Arrowhead of the structure.
Yeah.
I recognize that there might be an instant, you might need to take it down, but for the most part, it's gonna be there.
I think if we took it down, it snowballed. And everyone be coming through.
Right, yep.
And I don't really blame them. I would too.
Yeah.
But,
Yep, no, I'm good with that, I just wanted to
yeah.
clarify my understanding.
Well, I just want to say, to get here tonight for the first time from the west, it did not detour me through on Google Maps. I'm like, where do I have to go?
If we're talking about safety, and I may be all wrong, and you tell me and I'll go away, but you live on Madison and I live on Madison, and that Madison has changed remarkably
Oh, yeah.
in the amount of people that drive on it. And at times, it's not safe with people going as fast as they go. I mean, there are semis and passing in the no passing zone all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Do
And
you
the
have
bull haulers
anything
are on
to,
there too.
do you
They're all
have
on there.
anything to do with changing that speed limit from 50 miles an hour to 45?
It's a county.
Road.
It's not a township road.
Okay, so for
We
us
have
to
to-
get that changed, we will have a discussion with the county.
Yes.
Thank you.
How's dust control coming? My wife wants to know.
Oh, you say it now when little Russ ain't here. When was that?
The 27th.
Of this month?
Yep.
By the 27th,
29th.
it'll be on ours. Well, tell her, I don't care if you ever.
Tell her the 31st.
Yeah. Give us a little leeway.
There's the holiday.
Just tell her it's coming.
Okay, any other discussion, public? Okay,
When is, you said they're gonna close 26th Street, when is that gonna happen?
they didn't know, there's been bid let, and what they told me, is says, can you give me a ballpark figure, and they said, no, depends on who gets it, and if they don't have any project going soon, they'll do it. You know,
But
fits
how
into
long-
their
how long
schedule.
will it close, do you think?
Huh?
How long do you think they're gonna take to do that?
They're saying up to 4 weeks, they're hoping 2 weeks. That's what you heard too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did that job, and I think probably a month is what they're anticipating.
26 from where to where?
1,600 feet west of Highway 11, or east, excuse me, 1,600 feet east of Highway 11 where that creek is. We'll do a culvert there.
Well, that,
Oh, they're just doing a culvert?
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a real pain.
it's dropped off, and they gotta reset it.
Copperhead or 41st, or, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be. I I'm hopeful that they
That's,
can do it
that's the
quicker than
city's,
they're saying.
yeah. Okay. Motion to pay bills. I'll run through them.
Well, are they just up on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a motion to pay bills.
Second.
Except for LG Everest and LG Everest.
Yeah, as presented, except for, yeah.
Yeah.
As presented on
All in favor, say aye. Okay, we're not going to executive session. Have a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Next meeting is June 10th.
Okay, sign.
I will talk to them about that.